Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in again. And today we're talking about the GPT store that's launching for OpenAI this week. There's not a lot of information on it right now, but we can, look up here real quick. If we type in OpenAI App Store launching, there's a lot of videos on it, a lot of content. But I'm going to talk real quick about how, here it is, OpenAI's custom ChatGPT store to open soon, making AI more approachable. But I want to show you guys how you can create these. It's very, very simple. First of all, you need a ChatGPT subscription. You go to find a plan and do the Plus subscription for $20 a month. Once you're signed up for the Plus subscription, you can come over here. This allows you to browse, create, and use GPTs. You're going to go ahead and create a GPT. And when you create a GPT, you're going to name it. We're going to name this one. Let's see here. Cat. You know what? This is the challenge, right? So you have to think of something creative that would be useful. And this is an example of, like, if we want to think of an elementary school math whiz, for example. I was going to do something related to cats because my cat's here with me, but so let's go ahead and put in elementary school math whiz, and we'll tell the model to actually make this. And what you can do is just put in the prompt elementary school math whiz, and it'll actually create a profile picture for what you're requesting. So already we have a profile picture for this, and this just shows you how easy it is. But once again, sign up for the Pro subscription, and then once you're signed up, you'll get access to all of this, and you can actually start creating your own GPTs and sell them on the marketplace potentially. We don't have a lot of information on the revenue sharing model that could be at the moment, but with that being said, it is one of those things. That's a pretty good profile picture, and I would say that's pretty good. I'm going to save that by confirming it. Now, this is where it gets interesting, so let me go ahead and edit this more. And what you can do is post this to everybody. And so all you have to do is, once you're satisfied with your GPT that you've created, you go ahead and post it to everyone. And really what you could do is add additional tools, resources, upload files, create new actions. You have a code interpreter. So, that's always helpful. And with that being said, when we give this instructions, what will happen, this will actually fill out itself. So you can prompt the actual GPT itself that you're working on. For example, make sure elementary school math whiz stays on topic. And the reason I'm saying this is because this is actually a common problem that you can see in these models, is that when you are trying to train them, and you actually do have to do some training for a lot of these, and that's what is kind of tedious when building these, is actually when you prompt these, a lot of times I've noticed pretty significant improvements just by prompting the AI chatbot correctly. And so that's what it comes down to, is learning how to prompt this quote-unquote GPT that's on the OpenAI interface. But nonetheless, I mean, you want it to be very specific and niche, right? So I want this to be very specific, and it says, I've updated elementary school math whiz to ensure it stays focused on elementary level math topics. And so with that being said, it'll now gently steer conversations back to math topics if they start to veer off course. So that's good, and we can test this out. Tell me how to make cupcakes and see if it responds. I'm here to help with math and not cooking. However, we can mix a bit of math into baking. If the recipe asks for 2 cups of flour and you want to make half the amount, how much flour would you use? Or if you're making cupcakes for your class and there are 20 students and each recipe makes 10 cupcakes, how many batches do you need to bake? Let's do some math with your baking. And so you can kind of figure it out there and do the problem if you want. Or we could just ask it, what's 50 plus 10? And obviously, it's a pretty simple math problem, but I like how it shows you in bold, and it has a nice friendly personality, has the smiley face, as you'd probably expect for an elementary school student who would be learning math, right? And so this is just an example of a tailored version where you can ask this thing pretty much anything. If you need help with certain lessons, you can probably have lessons created if you're trying to homeschool your children, for example, which I think is going to become more common with AI. I really do, especially with the advent of all of this type of stuff. It's really helpful for people who are looking for solutions. Maybe they don't want to go to public school, but they want to, not pay for private school. Boom, you have the ability to actually teach your kids with Chat GPT. Might sound crazy, but I think it's possible, and you can kind of see how, create a lesson plan for my I want to ask it to do basic first grade addition and subtraction. We'll see how this responds. And so it's actually going to kind of create a plan. I'm hoping it becomes a little bit more specific and actually gives some problems. But it kind of gives some tips on how you can do this. I mean, this is supposed to be like, I guess, a teacher. And so it's kind of giving a plan in terms of how you could go about doing this. But what I'm really looking for in this is to prompt it to see if I can get like a specific plan in terms of some questions and like some actual, things I can teach the student. So I'm going to type in, I meant an actual real life problems for first graders. So it's going to incorporate basic addition and subtraction within 20 using everyday scenarios. So it's going to help students apply basic addition and subtraction to real life situations. It's telling us right now that this lesson plan it's creating is going to be about 45 to 60 minutes in length. And the materials we'll need, it already tells us here, which is cool. Introduction and all this stuff, real life scenarios. You have 10 cookies and you give 4 to a friend. How many cookies are left? So actual real problems it's creating. You have 5 apples and buy 3 more. How many apples do you have? So these are probably pretty accurate in terms of first grade problems you might ask a student. I know when I was in first grade, it was pretty much like the test you would turn to be basic addition, subtraction. It wasn't really anything fancy. I mean, this is kind of what you would learn. You can kind of, set up a store with items in the price range of 1 through 20. It's a pretty good idea. Independent practice. And so I would say, honestly, this is pretty valuable. I mean, you think about what a actual teacher might do in terms of a lesson plan. It might look somewhat similar. You might actually have some real life problems like that. We could always ask for additional problems. It only provided a couple. In fact, let's ask for more. So I'm going to ask for 10 real life math problems. And it's coming up with apple picking. Emma picked 7 apples from a tree and then picked 5 more. How many apples does she have? She has 12, obviously. So these are great. I mean, this is exactly what you'd want for a first grader. Very simple math problems that you can teach them. And I would say this is pretty useful, honestly. And so obviously, this just shows you how easy they are to create. I hardly did any prompting. I didn't upload any APIs. I didn't, mess with any of these actions. And you can actually do this. You can integrate different APIs on here, and you can work with code and stuff. But this is a codeless solution at the same time, and so the barrier to entry is very low, and that makes this very interesting as well, because there's going to be people at the very front of this who potentially they might make a lot of money. But at the same time, like, when does it become oversaturated? And when do the quality assurance checks really begin? I mean, that's the question I would really ask. When does the quality assurance actually, go into effect where they start weeding out certain GPTs that are not helpful? They kind of fall to the very, very back of the list. Maybe they're kind of on like a blacklist where they don't get any search results. I don't know how they would go about doing that, but I feel like this could become very oversaturated very quickly, because if you have a GPT subscription, you get access to the revenue sharing model for all these different GPTs that are being created, which means if your GPT climbs the rank, theoretically you get more of the revenue, and it's a $20 per month subscription. So how does that work? I mean, how do you actually go about sharing the revenue? But it has to do something with how your GPT helps others and solves problems and climbs the ranks, basically. So with that being said, I mean, ask yourself, do you think this solves problems? I would say yes, it does. It's very tailored. It has a friendly personality. It comes up with good problems. Now, the plain vanilla version of GPT-4 could probably do the same thing. So if you have a GPT-4 subscription, I mean, this is a bit more tailored in terms of the personality, I think, and in terms of like the way it talks about certain things, which is cool. And it has kind of its own personality. And you could probably prompt it to actually have its own personality. So, for example, if we wanted this to have, make it a very friendly first grade personality type assistant. And so we want this to be like very friendly, maybe like a first grade teacher. I'm just kind of seeing what this comes up with here, and we'll see how friendly this is. Because we're dealing with first graders, right? So we want to be, nice to the kids and make them feel welcome. Very friendly first grade personality. So, I mean, probably a first grade teacher personality. First grade teacher personality. Let's do that. Probably a little bit better. And you'll see when we update this actually updates on the right hand side too. It should come in, or you see it's loading. And unpublished changes. We can save these, but basically, it'll a lot of times refresh. You'll see that on there. Okay, so this has been published, and we actually have this public already. So elementary school math whiz is live, and we're going to ask it, what is 5 plus 5? So, I mean, I would say this probably did become a little bit more friendly since we asked it to. I mean, we did ask this to become a little bit more like a first grade teacher. And so I would say keep up the good work with your math. That's probably appropriate for how a teacher might respond if, a student was doing a good job in the class or something. 2 plus 2, you get 4. It's like having 2 shiny stars and finding 2 more stars in the sky. How many stars do you have altogether? You have 4 stars. So 2 plus 2 equals 4. You're doing a great job. So it uses good examples. I mean, I would say that's more tailored than plain vanilla ChatGPT in terms of how you can actually prompt these things to respond, which is very cool. And also, I think, kind of useful, especially if you're trying to teach a kid how to do this. And with that being said, guys, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. Like I said, this is going to be very, very low barrier to entry as long as you have a subscription. That raises some questions, I think, in terms of like oversaturation, especially if there's no quality assurance checks for any of these GPTs. I mean, I'm sure there will be some types of checks. The question is what types of or what type of surveillance do they have in terms of like removing certain types of products that might violate their terms of service. I don't know what they would have in place right now. I think Apple had issues with that in the beginning, but I mean, nonetheless, hope you guys have a great January. We'll see you in the next video. God bless. Thanks so much for watching, and take care.